So
Yes,
how did you
Neil.
started your career in judo, sir?
Neil, I was a very plump child. Let me put it clearly, I was fat. And so I just decided to get fit. Nothing. There was no other reason. And since Parvez Mistry came to my school, St. Mary's, and he had a demonstration there. And I saw this little man, all of maybe 58 kilos, throwing people who were 80, 90 kilos effortlessly and doing phenomenal gymnastics on that stage. And it completely captivated me. And I said, even if I can do half of what Sensei Parvez did that day on stage at St. Mary's, I would be happy. And yes, so I started judo training with Sensei Parvez in about 72, 73. And, it was tough. I used to come last in every belt grading. And I still remember little girls. Of course, I realized later that they were all national champions. They were 10 years older than me, and I was about 13 years old and 12 years old. And they used to toss me around. And I was maybe 85, 80 kilos even then, and they used to throw me, and I used to get smashed by everyone in class. And as I said, in the belt grading, I used to be amongst the last people. But not for 1 year, not for 2 years, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Why did I continue? Why did I not give up? Two reasons. One, I knew that I was improved. I knew that I was improved. I was intrinsically motivated. And that is the most important thing for any child. Secondly, my mother was giving tuitions, and from those tuition fees which she earned, she was paying for my judo classes. So I said that there's no way I'm going to bunk a single class. And so I just went to class and struggled through, but I never gave up. And finally, in 1978, I think, I won a silver medal in Mumbai. And not one, but two. And then Maharashtra Championships took place here. And over there, I won 2 silver medals, 79, gold medal. Suddenly in 1980, I was participating at the national 1980 in Pune. 1981 nationals, I was in Pune. I mean, it all happened so fast. And again, in my first national, I was strangled to unconsciousness in the very first round. Whether we won or whether I lost, one uncle used to come with me, my mother's brother. And whether we won or lost, we would have a nice meal, after the national final. So we enjoyed. Then came 82 Delhi Modern School. And in 82, I won my first silver medal. 83, silver medal. Finally, in 84, Calcutta, I won a gold. But the beauty is that, just like a bamboo tree, it takes 7 years sometimes to come out of the ground. And then suddenly, in 2 years, it zooms up to 8 feet, right? So that medal which I won in 84, I retained my national championship till 93. All the years, 10 years, I won. And in Maharashtra, I won in 79. And till 94, I never lost in Maharashtra. Now, people say, come to me I teach at Dhirubhai Ambani School. And not only in school, but even at all the judo tournaments. Also, my son is not winning, and his self-esteem is so badly hurt, and he's, giving it his best, and he's been training for 1 year, and he's just not winning. Now, what can I tell them, that I didn't get a medal for 6 years, 7 years? It doesn't matter. It's not the child's self-esteem who's getting damaged. It's the parent's self-esteem who's getting damaged. If that child is happy to go to the dojo and do judo, what is their problem? Yes, if the child doesn't want to do it, fine. I always feel that a little push is always required by the parents. You can't just let your child start swimming one day, then give up, then start another sport, give up. That's not, the parent has to have some say. I mean, after all, the child is being fed by the parent. The child is dependent on the parent until the child is 18 years old. The parent is looking after the child in India in most cases. Then it is the duty of the child to listen to the parents, and it's the parents' responsibility to direct the child in the correct path. Every child also reaches a plateau stage where you really feel you're not improving. Initially, there's a great improvement in your judo or whatever sport. Then you reach a competitive stage. At that competitive stage, you may hit a plateau. Not only may you go flat, some injury or something happens, you even start going down. And it's at that time. It's not only in martial arts. It's in any sport. It's in any instrument. When you play an instrument, you just don't improve. So it's at that time the parents must understand with the coach that this plateau stage is there. Come on, maybe give a little break, come back, and work at it, and finally the good results will come. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to practice something at least 8 to 10,000 times before you're going to get some good result. Otherwise it will be a fluke. You will win, and then after 2 or 3 years you fizzle out and it's all over. Also, Neil, I never took part in any junior tournament, not in India, and thank God for it, because being a heavyweight, I would have fought all overaged people. All. And they would have all been, I would have been, say, below 17, fighting below 17. I would have been below 17. That is, I would have been 16 years of age or 15 years of age. And believe you me, my opponent would have been 18 years of age or 19 years of age. The difference in the growth for a boy is tremendous at that age. I would have been thrashed. He may have been lighter than me. I may have been 90 kilos and looking big. He may have been only 78 or 85 kilos, but his body is not completely, but is much more mature than my body. The ligaments, the tendons, the bones, the development, the ossification, the bone growth, the bone starts becoming more calcified from a cartilage into calcium. And all this, and the muscle development. So I would have been killed, slaughtered. And like most Mumbai judokas, maybe I would have seen no future in the sport and given up. But because I never participated in juniors, I used to lose in the Bombay tournaments only. When I became senior, I was good to go and tackle with the seniors. Once you're 19, 20, 21, then it doesn't matter. Yes, of course it matters. If I am 19 years old, like it happens still today, or 20 years old, fighting below 21 years, and my opponent is 24 years old, it matters. And that keeps happening in India, But still, at least it's not so bad. For a heavyweight reaches their male heavyweight reaches their potential mostly by 22, 20, 3:24, 24, 25. So when you're 19 also, it's tough. My first national was at 19, Pune, 81. I lost in the first round to an ITBP opponent. He choked me beautifully. And the next national, I won a silver in Modern School, Delhi, then Bangalore. I won another silver. Finally, in Kolkata in 84, I won my first gold medal. Now, you can train hard, very hard. I've known of my colleague, Mr. late Manohar Bangera. He trained so hard under one Russian coach who was in his dojo in Mumbai. So unfortunately, I never got an opportunity to train with that Russian coach. But Mr. Bangera, Manu Bangera, trained with him. When that Russian coach was in India, Manohar didn't win a single tournament. And after the coach left, he never lost a single tournament. So, in the he used to fight below 55 kilos. And I used to fight above 95 kilos. Or in those days, it was above 86 kilos. So I used to fight above 86, he used to fight below 55. So when Parvez, since I stopped teaching judo, he recommended Mr. Bangera's dojo. And Mr. Bangera's dojo was a stone's throw from my house. I live on Pedder Road and the dojo was at New Era School at Hughes Road. So it was a stone's throw. I could just walk down and walk up. Now, you will ask me, how did I practice with Mr. Bangera? And there was another person from Delhi, Mr. Rajiv Seth, who had come down for a posting at the Taj Hotel, security. So what I used to do, I used to go to the race course. It's approximately 1.8 kilometers or 1.9 kilometers around. Let's say 2. So I used to run 3 rounds, about 6 kilometers. I would do 300 squats, 150 sit-ups.
Yes, crunches.
Full sit-ups. In those days, we didn't know crunches. I mean, in those days, I would have done 1,000 crunches without tiring. Trust me. So I used to do sit-ups, full sit-ups and full leg raises. And back extensions, about 150, 150, 150. And 300 squats, 6 kilometers. And then I would start my free practice with Mr. Bangera and Mr. Seth. Because otherwise, what is the use? I'm 90 kilos, and they are 55 and 65 kilos.
Yes.
So I used to really tire myself and work hard. Maybe I worked too hard and I made a lot of mistakes. Then you won't believe it. In sport, you must have heard of the term tapering.
Yes.
So 1 week or 1.5 weeks depends on the amount of intensity you've put in for that tournament, the injuries you're carrying. So for about approximately a week and a half or a week, you have to taper down. You have to do very specific. You have to do very specific training, specific to your weaknesses and strengths, and tactics and strategies, mental, and whatever training you do, very short period and very fast, especially for judo. Explosion, not donkey style training. You have to excite your fast twitch muscles because they are going to be used on that day of competition. So, I had no idea about this. What I used to do, believe you me, I remember Delhi, 1982. I wanted to win a medal. So I said, okay, tomorrow's the competition. I will run the longest I've ever run around Connaught Place. I used to live at Connaught Place. Then I'll do the maximum push-ups. I'll equal the maximum push-ups I've done. I'll equal the maximum leg raises all one day before the tournament. So I used to do my maximum one day before the tournament. On the day of the tournament, I used to tell myself, what is this? I'm not feeling my legs. My arms are all aching. What's going on? Then I used to tell myself, oh, don't worry about it. It's just that you're nervous. Everything else is good. Actually, I pre-exhausted myself.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was a mess. I tell you, Neil, I literally lost 2 years like this. In the final, I used to be exhausted. And I used to lose. And I used to say, fine, I'll win next year. And even when I won in Kolkata, the same nonsense I did one day before every selection trial in Mumbai, I used to do that, run my best time, do my best push-ups. Ridiculous. And I'm just so lucky I never got a big injury or never got a cardiac arrest or something like that. I used to read books and try and figure out circuit training and fartlek training, all these terms, which are so-called new terms for most of the coaches in India. And, I used to do plyometric jump training and all this through books. I used to do it way back in 84, 85. So I'm not saying that I used to do donkey work. I used to train very short hours compared to my wrestlers who had come into judo. Okay? In those days, there were no pure judokas. I was a pure judoka. I had no wrestling base. My base was judo from start to finish. But my opponents had a very, very strong wrestling base. They were all India number 3, number 2. I don't know whether Bharat Singh was ever India number 1. But number 2 and 3, they were. And they were strong. And ignorance. I would tire myself fully the next day, the day before. And then I used to tell myself, oh, they were stronger. Rubbish. They were not. I was exhausted. Finally, in 86, same story at the Asian Games. But over there, what happened is that in the first, we went 1.5 weeks. For the first time, it was beautiful in the Asian Games in Korea. We went 1.5 weeks before my match. Okay. So we had lovely time to acclimatize. It was beautiful in Korea. It was cool. It was August. And it just suited me so nice. But guess what happened? I put on 4 kilos in exactly 5 kilos. Well, I was fighting below 95. Before I could say Jack Robinson, from my 97 kilos, I was 101. My God, and now I had exactly five days to bring
reduce the weight
down. Not a big deal. And so I warned the coach, you will not stop me from exercising on my own. And number 2, you will not stop me from going to the discotheque. Because I will lose maximum calories there without feeling the strain. So I'll dance for about 3.5 hours and I will lose my weight. So it was just perfect. In those days, there was a 95 kilo category. Unfortunately for me, it was not 100 kilos as it is today. Because if it were 100, I would have been so comfortable in that weight. But 95 kilos was very hard for 6'4.5" inches. So 95 kilos, I reached 94.8 the day of my fight. And as I told you, I was used to overexerting. So for me, it was like home. And I made it. And yes, earned a bronze medal for India. Now, the point I'm making is we were so ignorant about training. And not only me, even my coaches, because even our Indian coaches had no exposure. When did I come to know about this? In 1987, we were 1988, sorry. We were at the Asian Championships in Syria. Now, unfortunately, the coach one morning had a run-in with the management, my Japanese coach. So that morning of the tournament, he did not come to the ground because he was summoned by the whoever. They're always there to create a mess. So my coach, Japanese coach, Mr. Mizuno, was summoned by the federation officials that morning. And we went. And again, we did 10 rounds. The match is in the afternoon. We did 10 rounds of 400 meters. And again, we did our push-ups and our sit-ups. And we reached our hall very happy with the training and all. So the Japanese coach confronted our Indian coach. What did you all do? He said, we did this. He got so angry, so angry. He said, you had to do nothing today. You had to do nothing. How dare you do this? That's when my eyes opened that there was something called tapering. And then I read about it. Oh my God, it was a mess. And this was a problem. It was ignorance. It was ignorance. I don't blame anyone. I don't blame the coaches. It's just ignorance on our part. Gradually, I had read only one thing, that you give yourself 48 hours before you train your muscle group.
Yes.
So suppose I did biceps, I would not do biceps till 48 hours. But how stupid of me not to realize that I'm here, forget bicep, I'm exhausting my full body. It was so stupid. And that was it. And then from 87 on, it became much better. I mean, we never made those mistakes at least. And fortunately, some medal came in the Commonwealth Championships. And it was good. So what I have to say is parents must have patience, especially with a big child. Coaches must believe that this fat, clumsy, big, tall, uncoordinated, unbalanced child will make it big, but give him time. Heavy child, you must have patience because they will develop later, and just encourage them. Nowadays, you have dietitians, you have sports psychologists. If you want, use them. I believe in keeping things simple. Keep it simple. So what do I mean by that? The big heavy boys, they encourage him, keep training him. Tell him to stay away from sugar. Tell him to stay away from excess carbohydrate. If he is vegetarian, give him protein supplements. After you train hard, the fibers have to regrow, right? There has to be growth in the body, and repair and growth is absolutely related to your protein intake. And unfortunately in India, the protein intake is so low that we are not able to excel in sport. 7 medals has been phenomenal, and I'm very happy and proud as an Indian that we've gone 1 medal higher, 1 step at a time. Fine. I'm very happy. But believe you me, if all my children in India, if all the sports persons in India had the benefit of protein like I did, right from childhood, I'm sure they would be much better. When I ask most sports persons, are you vegetarian or non-vegetarian? They tell me we are non-vegetarian. Then slowly they tell me we don't have pork, we don't have beef, we don't have mutton. We have only chicken and eggs.
Yes.
Fine. After a while, they tell me we have it only 3 times a week. Okay?
Yes.
And this just doesn't work out for a sportsman because the muscles are constantly in a process of regrowth. And for that growth, you need the fuel. You need the correct fuel. A plane doesn't fly on ordinary petrol. The plane needs high octane petrol. So
Yes.
a sports person needs his high quality protein. And this is where we are lacking, whether it's football, whether it is judo, whether it is boxing. The kids don't get it at the time of their growth. If they get it, they get it late at the national camps. So the inherent bone strength, the inherent strength is not really developed. That is what I feel. So if the children are identified now, the good news about the government is Khelo India. It is a game changer, Neil. It is a game changer. With Khelo India, we are identifying the children, the judokas, the boxers, across all the Olympic sports. We are identifying them young. Each one is getting a scholarship, which is about 100,000 a year, which is quite good for a child, you know. At least they can have some food in that money if utilized honestly. Yeah. And that is no questions asked where you spend that money. Over and above, the government spends on their boarding, lodging, and everything in a NIS center, in a national center. So today, if the centers give the children quality food, and if the children put a little bit of their own money and buy supplements, legal supplements, then I see India going to greater heights and glory at the Olympics. Also, Khelo India has gone from school to university. Believe you me, in 28, 29, 30, I see world record measurements happening, world record lifts happening at the university games. I can foresee it. We will be going to a stage where America is.